Culinary Credit. Welcome back for another video. I appreciate you clicking that thumbnail. I'm glad that God brought you to my channel so I could teach you about credit. Today we gonna be talking about utilization, credit card utilization. A lot of people don't know exactly what that means. A lot of people don't know what to do with it. They just hear credit card utilization and they think, oh my gosh, it's so much. First, hit them with the intro. First, we go straight into it. We go dive straight into it. We not gonna play around. So, first, I'm gonna explain utilization and tell you how many points there are pertaining to this part of your credit profile. Like I had said on my last video, if you watched it last time, credit utilization consists of 165 points of your whole credit profile. Now, explaining utilization. Utilization is basically when you get a credit card and you have a limit, a credit limit of 200, 300, 400, 600, how much ever that credit card limit is. What happens is when you start to spend money on that, it's you using the credit limit that is available to you. So now, say if we have a credit card that is at $300, what happens is you start to spend money on it, right? And when you start to spend money on that, the company that had issued you that credit card, they basically report that to the credit bureaus and show how much money you have been spending, showing your transaction, not the transactions, but they show how much money you have been spending. So now, the important thing that you have to learn about credit card utilization, there is a method that you can use to make sure that your percentage reports to the credit bureaus at a low percentage. A lot of people don't know how to do that exactly, but I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. I'm going to give y'all the sweet stuff, the juicy stuff. I'm going to give y'all all the sauce because God put it in my heart to give it to y'all. So I just want to give y'all all the information y'all need so we can basically succeed together. So let's talk about how credit card utilization is used. Now, when you have one credit card that has an amount of 300, your complete utilization of credit is only $300, right? Now, let's talk about if you have more than two credit cards. Now, if you have two credit cards, one having $300 credit limit and another having another $300 credit limit, tell me what your credit utilization amount would be. It would be $600. You would be able to use $600 of credit, right? So now I'm telling you, a lot of people have it confused about the complete understanding of credit utilization. But when you have more than one card, the complete credit limit of all the cards combined is the credit limit that is reported to the credit bureaus as credit utilization, as how much you can use. You can't just say, okay, well, I have one credit card that's $300 and I have another credit card that's $300, and you think that you're only using the credit utilization for one credit card. That is not how it happens. You have to implement and understand that your total amount of both credit cards, which is $600, is your complete credit utilization. Okay? We have to understand that. A lot of people get that very confused. So now we're going to break it down about how you would want to calculate your credit utilization. So now say we're going to go back to having one credit card. One credit card, you would have $300, right? So what happens is you want to stay below 10%. 10% of $300 is $30. So now the way you would calculate that is you would go $300 times 0.10, that's 10%, equals $30, right? I'm going to say that again. The way that you would calculate that is $300 times 0.10, that's 10%, and it would equal $30. So now we're just talking about one credit card right there. Now we're going to talk about two credit cards. So we already talked about you having a one credit card, that's $300, and now we're going to talk about you having two credit cards, that would be another $300. So now we understand that credit utilization is a spectrum of all our credit limits combined, right? So now we have two credit cards that are each $300. So the total amount of credit that we have is now $600, right? So like I said before, we want to make sure that we report our credit utilization to the credit bureaus 10% and under, right? And I'm gonna give you a tip to make sure that you know that puts you in the golden spot out of all of this, right? Because a lot of people think that it's the 30%. 30% starts to put you into the average zone of person that is issued credit. We don't want to be in that 30%. 30% doesn't make you stand out at all. That is just very average. It starts to get you down more so into the like bottom, just keeps you at the bottom tier of cards, because they see that you use the money so much. They see that you always using the money. So now what we were talking about is that if you have the two cards, is going to be $600. So now $600, we're going to focus on having the total amount of those two cards report at 10%. Hopefully y'all following me here. So now we understand that we have two cards and the total amount of that is $600. Now 10% of $600, hopefully you got it. Yes, it is $60. We have to make sure that each of our cards are basically reporting the total amount of 10%. Right? So now what we would do is we would take one card and have it report at 5%, and the other card report at 5% also. So now the total amount would be at 10%. Hopefully we understand that. I'm not trying to confuse y'all. Like, you have to make sure that you understand, if you have multiple cards, that you just equal out the 10% from all of your cards combined, right? So if you have three cards, say if you have three cards, you would want to do 3% calculated of that credit limit, 3% calculated of that credit limit on the second card, and then 3% calculated on that third card, and then yes, it equals out to 9%. But what I tell you, you want to make sure that you report your credit utilization at 10% and under, right? So now, what we are going to talk about is, so how would you figure that out? So say if you did have three credit cards. So like I said before, say you have a credit card that has $300, right? So what you would want to do is that the way you would calculate it is go $300 times 0.03. Now that's 3%. And then of course you would press the equal, and then you would figure out exactly what 3% of $300 would be. And then you would just go from each card and do that same thing to where it would total out to be 9% being reported to the credit bureaus, right? Hopefully we understand that. So now say if we're going to go back to having one credit card. Now you have one credit card. And that's what I'm going to tell you, a very, very, very secret tip that nobody understands and nobody gets it, okay? Because everybody starts to focus on the 30%. Very few people start to understand and get that, okay, 10% is more so where I should be and under. But now the golden, I'm telling y'all, CC, culinary credit, I got to give y'all all the information that will allow y'all to just catapult, right? So now the golden percentage that your credit cards total should be reporting is anywhere between 2 to 3%. That will allow your credit score to skyrocket, because what you're showing the credit bureaus is that you honestly don't really need this credit. So when they see that you don't need this credit, what they see you as is a person that is reliable. They see you as a person that can definitely not depend on credit. So that's why I say yes, 10% and below, it's very good. But when you start to get into the 2 to 3% range, it makes you look like a star. Like I said in my last video, it makes you look like a star. It makes you look like you know what you're doing. It makes you look like a person that is capable to be responsible with this credit line, right? So now what happens when you start to report that credit card at, or those credit cards, or that credit card, if you have one credit card, it's always best to try to get it to report at 2 to 3%, but the lowest that, or the highest that you can go is at 10%, right? It's okay if you don't get to the 2 to 3%. It's okay, don't worry. If you do get below the 10%, it's even better. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the when you have a low credit utilization and you start to apply for these credit cards. So what happens is when you start to report your utilization so low that they start to look at you like, oh man, these people don't need any of our credit. Like this is the person that is responsible. So when you start to apply for more credit cards, you want to make sure that you keep your utilization down. So when you start to apply for these credit cards, don't go out here and apply for credit cards when your utilization is really, really high, because they're going to look at you and see, okay, they use a lot of credit, and it gives them a little bit of a red flag, because it just shows that all you want to do is use your credit. But if you allow yourself to have it report at that 2 to 3%, it then shows, okay, like I said, they're responsible with this credit, so we can definitely issue them another credit card, right? So I have to definitely give you that tip. Now, so I want to be able to show you guys the differences between your due date and a statement date. So I'm going to be switching my screen right about now. Okay, so as you can see, now what I have displaying to you is a bill from a credit card company, right? So now, as you can see, I boxed it out right in the area where they show the amount, not the amount, but your billing cycle. It's called a billing cycle. And a lot of people don't even look at this area, because all they look at is the fact that how much they have to pay and the interest or things of that nature. So now that you are CC culinary credit, right, you are going to know about this area. This area is completely important, y'all. This area will allow you to be able to know what reports to the credit bureaus, right? As you can see, I put statement date. The statement date is, you see it says October 3rd, 2021, and then November 2nd to 2021, right? Now your statement date would be the November 2nd of 2021, because your billing cycle is what, 31 days, right? So now that you know it's 31 days of you basically being able to swipe this card, right? Now what happens is that your November 2nd is the date that the credit card company or the bank reports that credit card usage, which is credit utilization. They report that credit card usage to the credit bureaus, right? Now, there's a way that you can figure out, if you don't have the bill statement or anything like that, like there's a way you can figure out what your statement date is. You can usually call the bank that has issued you a credit card, and they will definitely tell you your statement date. And if you want to, you can ask them for the annual date, the annual statement dates. Like you can ask them, when will your statement date end up on throughout the whole year, right? A lot of people don't know that. So now I'm gonna explain to you how to use the statement date method. So what you have to do is, say we have that $300 credit card. Now that we have that $300 credit card, and we say, and it's another thing that's been going around, and I have to let you know this also. It's okay to use the credit card limit to $300 if you want to, but you have to make sure that you are able to pay back that whole full $300, right? You have to make sure that you are capable to pay that back, because you should not be using money if you don't. You should not be using your credit card if you don't have the money to pay back. That is very, very important. So I'm gonna explain to you how to use this statement date. The statement date, like I said, is the date that the bank reports your credit card usage to the credit bureaus, right? And you can call them and find it out. It'll also be like how this bill is showing. It'll also be on your bills, your credit card statements, right? It'll show you that. But if you don't see it on there, or if you just missed it, or you can't find it, you can always call the credit card company, or you can call the bank that has issued your credit card. So please understand that everybody has access to this, but if you don't know it, then you don't know it, right? We don't know what we don't know, but once we figure it out, we definitely could use that information and apply it to our lives. So now what you would do is, say you have spent half of your credit limit, which is $150, right? Now that you have spent $150, when you get your bill, your payment, or your minimum payment, might be anywhere between maybe $25 or something like that. But when you get that bill, it's going to show you your statement date, right? And it's going to show you what your payment balance, or not your payment balance, but your due date is. It's going to show you that, right? So say you see on your bill that it says minimum payment $25, but we have used $150, right? And this will allow you to not pay interest. The only time that interest gets put on the credit that you have used is when it reports past the statement date. Very important. When it reports past the statement date, that's when interest is put onto the money that you have used on this credit card. All right? So now your due date can be it'll be like how it says on here, November 27th, right? So since we already know our statement date is November 2nd, now next month, December 2nd, it's going to be your statement day. It's going to be the time that your card gets reported to the credit bureaus. I have to explain that to you, because I don't want you to get confused, and just because you see that your payment due date is on the 27th, your statement date is always going to be on the same day, the next following month. So now what you would do is that, because remember, we always want to pay our bills, always, never pay late. And I would say that you want to put all of your credit cards on auto pay, just to make sure that you don't miss any payments. It's very, very important that you don't miss any payments. Okay, so now we understand that our payment date is on the 27th, but now we know our statement date. We know that our statement date is going to be ending on the 2nd of each month, right? So now what you would do is that you would pay your regular bill at November 27th, right? And the remaining balance on that credit card, you would want to pay it all back before it reports to the credit bureaus. Pay it all back. Now don't miss this next important step, right? Now, since we're going to talk about this in the sense of having one card. And remember, I told you the golden number is 2 to 3%. Yeah, you can focus on 10% if you want to, but I like to stay in the 2 to 3% range because I want to look like a star. Okay? I'm going to just be honest with you. So now, since we already know that the credit card is going to report to the credit bureaus on the 2nd of each month, now that we paid our bill on the 27th, right? Which is $25 minimum. Remember, don't forget, I have told you to pay an extra additional $10 if, say, the minimum payment is $25. You want to put in like $10 more over that minimum payment. Okay, we want to focus on that also. I know credit is a lot, but I'm here. I'm gonna give y'all all the information. If you don't understand something, please just watch this video back, play it back. I'm telling you, eventually it's going to hit for you. It's gonna be a home run. Eventually you're gonna understand this. I know you're gonna understand this because I didn't know anything about credit, so now I know you're gonna get this. Right now we have a remaining balance on that credit card because you paid your minimum. Right now we have a remaining balance of $125, right? So now since we have that remaining balance of $125, what we want to do is make sure that we pay that $125 before the statement date ends, before it closes out. That's what we want to make sure. I would say that you would want to pay like this, you would want to pay a little bit sooner to get that current balance down, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get the payment from your bank account to actually go over to the credit card. So I wouldn't say pay it on November 2nd, right? I would say, or not November 2nd. I wouldn't, like in this situation, I wouldn't say pay it on December 2nd, right? I would say pay it November 30th. You will want to pay it like November 30th. Okay? And then, because it gives it a little bit of time to like catch up and get the money from your bank account to get it over on that credit card and say, okay, I paid the balance down. Now it's going to report. So wait, don't. So now that we have paid that balance back in full, the $125, so what we would want to do is buy something before it reports. I know it's a lot, but once you get it, it'll come like this. It'll be so easy, y'all. So once you have paid that amount in full, because now you have no balance on this credit card because you paid your $25 minimum, right? And now you have paid the $125 to get the credit card balance down. Now you have zeroed out the balance, right? And now you want to make sure, since you know the statement date, which is what would be in this situation December 2nd, you would want to buy something to have it report to the credit bureaus. It is very bad that you have a credit card report to the credit bureaus at a 0% utilization. You don't want to do that. These banks issue these credit cards to have us use them. So we have to show activity on the credit card. Okay? So now, since we are at a zero balance, all you want to do is take that $300, right? Since we know that that's our credit limit, we take that 300 times 0.02 or 0.03. We figure out what the percentage or how much money that is, right, equals this much money, right? Of the 2% or the 3%, we figure out, that's how we figure out the calculation of it. It's gonna, like, when you get that equal amount, it's gonna show you like how much it is, right? I want to say it's like maybe $4 or something like that. Yeah, it's like $4 something like that. So you will want to go buy something before the statement date closes and put $4 and something change, how much ever the equal amount of 2% or 3% is, right? You will want to go buy something that is equal to that amount. So now we are at a zero balance. We know that the 300 times 0.02, which is 2% of $300, equals this amount. So now we know how much we should have reporting on this card that will equal 2%. right? And this is only talking about one card. It gets a little bit more difficult when you start to deal with other cards, but I explained to you already how to calculate if you have more than one card. If you have two, three, four, how much ever. Like I've calculated how much you, or the way you should do that, right? So now you know the statement date for when the credit bureaus, or not the credit bureaus, for when the banks report to the credit bureaus. It is so simple. Please, if you don't understand it, just go below and say, man, I don't understand. I'll call you one on one just to make sure that you understand this. I'll drive to your house. I don't care. I'm not a person that is hiding information that I'm giving to you. I stand behind it because I have seen my credit score go from 498 to 718, and it's based off of all these methods that I am telling you guys about. It's definitely something that we should know. Something that we should hand down to our kids to make sure that they know exactly how to handle credit. I appreciate y'all for clicking on this video. Thank y'all for coming and watching my channel. Man, I want y'all to have a blessed day. Please have a blessed day, because over here at Culinary Credit, all we do is stir the pot. Stir the pot so we can cook the credit bureaus. And we not playing no games, no more. I just taught y'all about credit utilization. Hopefully y'all understand it. It is very important. It's 165 points of your whole credit profile. So you have to please understand, it is important. It's important. In order to have credit, you got to have credit. In order to get credit, you got to have credit. You have to start somewhere. Like I told you in the last video, there's other places that you can go the secure credit card route. That is from Discover It. They have a secure credit card. Capital One has secure credit cards. And basically a secure credit card, all that is when you take your money and you give the bank how much ever they would like to put on this credit card. And all that is that you get to spend the money that you have given the bank that you apply for a secure credit card for. But you got to be careful though, because there's a lot of credit cards out here that won't graduate. Most credit cards, like Discover It, oh, great credit card. They will definitely graduate you. It might take some time. I think it's anywhere between 6 to 12 months. It varies. It definitely varies based off of your activity. So, but the methods that I'm teaching you guys, it definitely will probably allow you to graduate one of these secure credit cards. And if you don't know what not a secure credit card, but if you don't know what cards graduate, you can go on YouTube, like how you're here. You can go on YouTube and say, hey, what credit cards graduate? Or you can go on the internet. What secure credit card graduates? So you could definitely look up all this information for yourself. But if I give you all the knowledge that you want and all the knowledge that you need, please hit the like button. It's here, it's somewhere. I don't care where it is, just press it. Okay? So, and also, please subscribe. I appreciate y'all for coming to my channel. And on that note, I'm out of here. Thank you.